see Akut. I see. Okay, I want to say also Shabbat Shalom. Well, I'm just glad that you're here with us today, Akut. Great indeed to see you and to know that we can share in this fellowship together. Praise Yahuwah. Also, want to say Shabbat Shalom to Akut Mahalia. It is wonderful to see you, Akut, as always. Greetings to you in the name of Yahuwah. Also, want to greet my Aki Maganyahu. It is great to see you, Aki. And we give praise to Yahuwah again for the opportunity to be together once again. Um, uh, yeah, well, I guess the system gave you that name, Key. When you logged in, I guess it filled it in. It might be a situation where you have to change. You would have to change it when you log in. I said a key too. I'm not sure if it's a key or a coup, but uh, sorry about that. Also, want to say so I see Aki Maganyahu. It seems as if Aki Maganyahu himself was having some trouble. I see your nick represented twice, Aki. I want to say Shabbat Shalom to you, Aki. Also to Aki Franklin. Great to see you, Aki. Greetings to you in the great name of Yahuwah, my Aki. And also to Aki DGR. I want to say Shabbat Shalom to you. Wonderful to see you on this Shabbat. Also to Akut Angela. It is great to see you, Akut. Greetings to you in the name of Yahuwah. Hallelujah. Also to Akut Amuna, I want to say Shabbat Shalom to you, my dear Akut. It is wonderful to see you as always. Yes, Aki. Also to Aki Amanya, I want to greet you in your house. And let me just say to all of the family that I've greeted so far, I want to greet you and your household because I do recognize that it's not just the nicks that are represented on the screen that are actually represented here, but in many cases we have households, we have families, we have members of the family of Yahuwah coming together and listening under the same nick, and so participating under the same nick. And so I want to say Shabbat Shalom to you. Even if your name is not represented on the screen, I greet you in the name of Yahuwah today. I also want to say Shabbat Shalom to Akut Al Yashaba. It is wonderful to see you, Akut. And I don't know, Akut Mac might be there with you also. I want to say Shabbat Shalom to Akut Mac, if Akut Mac's there and if Akut Mac's listening. Shabbat Shalom and to the Akut Amuna, and also to Akut Mary. Akut Mariam, I want to say Shabbat Shalom to you, Akut. Wonderful to see you as always. Greetings in the name of Yahuwah today. To Aki Willie, I greet you, Aki, in the great name of Yahuwah. Wonderful to see you again as always, Aki. Greetings to you and to your Bayat. And also to my Aki Keenan. I say Shabbat Shalom to you, Aki. All the way over there in Afghanistan. Greetings to you, my Aki. Great to know that you're with us, to know that you were able to join us today. And also to Aki Dani Al, I thought, yep, I see it. Aki Dani Al, I want to say greetings to you, my Aki, to you and to your Bayat. I want to say Shabbat Shalom. Great to see you, Aki, as always. And so we give Yahuwah praise and honor for this opportunity. We truly barak his name today. I want to greet the family on YouTube, and so I'm going to turn my attention to YouTube. And again, I don't see everybody on YouTube, but for those who have posted to the board, I will I can greet you. And so, greetings to and Shabbat Shalom to Aki Isaiah Crawford. That's Aki Yashayahu Crawford. Shabbat Shalom to you, Aki. Great to see you on this Shabbat once again. Aki Alex, I want to greet you too, Aki, in the name of Yahuwah. And also to Aki Mikaal Dahoud, I greet you, Aki, in Yahuwah's great name. Shabbat Shalom to you and family to your house. Also want to say Shabbat Shalom to Aki Keith, to you and to your mashpaka, if they're joining us today, listening in, and anyone listening in who we're not seeing, I want to say Shabbat Shalom to you. Also, Shabbat Shalom to Aki Edward King Ed Smith. I want to say Shabbat Shalom to you, my Aki. It is great to see you once again. And also, moving up the list here, I want to say Shabbat Shalom to Akut Sharia is also joining us via YouTube there. Wonderful to see that again too. And also to Aki when Yahuah, greet you, Aki, in the great name of Yahuah. Shabbat Shalom to you. It is wonderful to see you as always, also. And also to Akut Carmen. Greetings to you, Akut. Wonderful to see you on this day. And again, family, to know that we share in this great fellowship together, I want to greet my turn my attention back to Fuse here for a moment. I see we had a couple of family members join us. I want to say Shabbat Shalom to Akut Bernice. It is wonderful to see you, Akut. Greetings to you. And Yahuah Shalom be upon you, upon your Bayat, upon your Mashpaka, Aki Yaramyahu, Akut Yolanda, the entire family. I greet you in the name of Yahuah, the preserving name of Yahuah. Also to Akut Gina, it is wonderful to see you as always, Akut. Greetings to you, Akut, and Shabbat Shalom. And so, family, here we are once again. It's Shabbat, and I'm excited to be here, and I know you are too. And so we're looking forward to having a great fellowship in Yahuwah's Word today. We're going to go ahead and we're going to turn our faces toward the set-apart place of Yahuwah today as we prepare to go into Yahuwah's Word, and it prepared to be fed by Him, to be guided by Him, to be awakened and resurrected by Him. Praise Yahuwah. And so we're going to turn our faces toward this set-apart place, as the Scriptures tells us that we should, when we find ourselves scattered to the ends of the earth, to the borders of the earth, as we are. Yahuwah tells us that if we would turn our faces toward His set-apart place, which is to look toward the east, which is His set-apart place, we are not looking toward the sun. We're not looking toward anything else but to Yahuwah. And so, family, join us today as we turn our faces toward the set-apart place of Yahuwah, asking for His favor upon us as we gather and even as we fellowship in His Word. And so may Yahuwah barak us, and may Yahuwah barak this time. And join me as I bow myself down before Him today. Hallelujah. Praises to Yahuwah. Praises to Yahuwah. Hallelujah. Abba Yahuwah, you're worthy of all esteem, all honor, and all praise, all barakah. Indeed, Yahuwah, as your word says, before the mountains were brought forth, before anything was created, you are Al. And you reign and you rule and you exist from everlasting to everlasting. You are the Aleph and you are the two. You are the first and you are the last. Ab Yahuwah, you are sovereign. You are our King. Hallelujah. You are our deliverer. You are our restorer. You are our redeemer. Father, you are the one that continue to preserve us and to keep us. And for that, we give you thanks today. We say, Toda Yahuwah, for your great favor, for your amazing sympathy. Yahuwah, as we come before you today, we come in humility. And Father, we bow our heads before you, and we ask that you would look upon us with continued favor, continued sympathy. Continue to turn us to you. Continue, Yahuwah, to instruct us according to your way. And as we look toward the east today, Yahuwah, we look toward our homeland. We look toward your set-apart place, the place that you have chosen for your name to dwell. You said, if my people who are called by my name, if my people upon whom my name is called would humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their crooked ways, then you would hear from Shamayim and you would heal their land. And so, Yahuwah, we cry out to you for healing. We cry out to you for healing in our minds. We cry out to you for healing, spiritual healing. We cry out to you, Yahuwah, for healing as a nation. We pray that you would continue to awaken us and to regather us as a people. We pray, Yahuwah, that you would not hold our crookedness against us, but Father, that you would continue to purge us and to cleanse us and to make us more and more like you. We pray that your favor would be upon every household represented here today. We pray that you would barak your people, that you would continue to instruct and to teach your people. I pray, Yahuah, today that your word would go forth in clarity that only you can give. And I pray, Yahuah, that it would go forth with the authority that only you can command. And I pray, Yahuah, that it would go forth without the influence of the adversary. And so, Father, I pray that you would be esteemed today and that you would be exalted as we humble ourselves before you. I decrease and I ask, Yahuah, that you would increase. Let your baraka be upon your people. Give us ears to hear and eyes to see and a heart of understanding, a humble spirit to hear and to apply. Let us not just be hearers, but let us be doers also of your word. And so have your way in our midst today and in our lives continually. Barak this day, barak this time. This is the day that you have made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. And so, Father, remember those of your people, our family, our brothers and sisters who are unable to assemble with us today for whatever reason, whether it be illness, Father, whether it be that they have no internet connection, Father, or whatever the obstacle may be. We pray, Yahuah, that you would remember your people. We pray also that you would open doors, that your word would reach them. Father, that not one bit would be hindered. So do this, we pray, in Yahusha's name. Aman. Halalhu Yahuah. Praises to Yahuah. Well, once again, family, we give Yahuah praise, honor, and esteem, because truly he alone is worthy of all our praise. He alone truly is worthy of all our praise. And so we want to barak Yahuah today, the great name of Yahuah, the amazing name of Yahuah, the powerful name of Yahuah. I want to barak Yahuah today. I want to say Shabbat Shalom to my Akut Kaya. It is wonderful to see you, Akut. And I also want to say Shabbat Shalom to Akut Moriah Yisrael. It is wonderful to see you, Akut, and to have you with us today. And so we give Yahuah praise, honor, and esteem. As always, I don't like to, we have all walked our various paths this week. And certainly Yahuah has been good to each and every one of us. He certainly has been. And, every week I come here, I am very much aware that my voice is heard the most. And I don't necessarily, I don't want it to be. I don't necessarily like the fact that my voice is heard the most. And I don't want it to be only my voice heard. I'd certainly like to hear from you also. So, but even as we prepare to go into our study for today, which we're continuing in our study on a woman's role, and in particular today we're looking at a woman's role from the perspective of being an asha, a wife. And so we're going to be going to a very popular passage today, and that's from the book of Mashaly, Proverbs. We're going to go to chapter 31 today as we continue to study from Yahuah's word concerning a woman's role. So far, we have looked at quite a few things in regards to a woman's role, and many myths have been busted along the way. And so, for example, the whole adage that a woman should be silent and learn in silence, we looked at that, and we looked at that other myth of a woman being the weaker vessel. We found that while it is stated in translation in the Bible, it's actually not stated. Not even in the Greek text, it's not stated. And so we have looked at a few things along the way. Today, we want to look at a woman's role from the perspective of being a wife. And so we do look forward to getting into that. And as we continue, we're also going to be looking at a man's role in the family, in Yasharal, in his house. And so we'll be examining that also as we continue. There is, in fact, much dysfunction among our people. There's much dysfunction in Yasharal. And not only is there dysfunction, but what adds to the dysfunction is false notions and false teachings, which also leads to confusion among our people. And so may Yahuah continue to, Yahuah tells us that we are in Babal, that we have been driven into Babal. And what is Babal? What they call Babylon today. Babal means confusion. And so we are living in a state of confusion. But one thing Yahuah does promise is that he would give us clarity. You see, he would give us knowledge and wisdom and understanding. He would give us clarity. For a lack of knowledge, my people perish. And so the people of Yahuah continue to perish in many ways. Families continue to be destroyed. Yahuah said that because you have rejected me, I will also reject you. But not only will I reject you, but I will reject your children and your children's children. You see, and he said that the order of things would be turned upside down. And when Yasharal is in disobedience, when the men of Yasharal refuse to stand up or fail to stand up, he says that women and children will rule over you. And so those are some of the things that we find in the word of Yahuah. All of that is dysfunction. It's disorder, because now our women are forced to operate in roles that they don't want to operate in, but yet they find themselves operating in those roles in many cases. As a nation, I speak of, and it creates a lot of dysfunction. I look around me and I see our young men who are confused. In many cases, we have young men who they they have the body of a man, but the mind of a feminine mind. They walk around with a how should I put it? A limp in their wrist, skipping as they go. Sounding feminine, looking feminine, and it's just dysfunction. But all of that would be as a result of the curse. And so, family, we're going to be continuing to look at the scriptures as to what our roles are, because Yahuah has established an order, and it is for us as a people to live by his order. And so we're going to continue to look at the scriptures in that regard. But before we get to that, I just want to say, family, I want to open up the mic if I could. I would like to hear from you today if there are any testimonies or comments that you have, anything that you'd like to share before we get into our study for today. I'd certainly like to hear from you. I know that the family on YouTube, it's not such that you can come to the mic, but if there's anything that you'd like to say and you'd like to type it, and then I'd share it with the rest of the family, that's certainly fine. Also, at the end of our study today, we will we'll get into questions. So as not to get bogged down with questions at the beginning where we never get to the lesson, we'll reserve the questions to the end. But for right now, if you do have something that you'd like to share, you have a testimony that you'd like to share, something that Yahuah has done in your life, and you'd like to just give him the esteem that he truly deserves, and here's the opportunity. And so I want to open up the mic to that. If okay, please go ahead, Aki. Please go ahead, Aki Willie. I'm great. I'm glad to see your flag, Aki. I'm not sure if you know how to unmute the mic. Let me. I see that question. Oh wait, something's wrong from my end. Let me see what's going on. I'm not hearing. Got to get that right. Bear with me just for a second. Okay, something's wrong. I'm not hearing anything. Something's wrong from my end. Let me see what's going on. I'm not hearing. Okay. That's strange. Okay, I'm unable to hear a key. Let me check my audio settings. That is strange. Bear with me here, family. Okay, is Aki on the mic? Aki Willie, are you there? Wow, that is really strange. Not hearing anything at all. Yeah, I do see that Aki is speaking, but I'm unable to hear him. I don't hear anything from him. I'm going to exit Fuse and I'm going to come right back. Let me just check something else in the meantime. Let me check with YouTube. Wow. I just made a change. I downloaded a program, and that might be a part of my problem. Okay. I might have an issue here that I cannot quickly fix, family. Okay, Aki. Okay. I'm going to try someone else. I'm going to try someone else, see if this works. Foundational facts. Please go ahead. Okay, I see that your mic is open, but I'm not hearing anything. Akut Joan mic's open, but I'm not hearing anything there either. Okay, I'm having some real issues here, family. Aki Franklin. Wow, that's gonna disconnect YouTube. Okay, this is what we're gonna. I was gonna ask Aki Franklin if he would play some music while I exit Fuse and try to reinstall the program and see if that helps, because I'm not hearing anything. That will. I don't want to stop the YouTube broadcast. But what I'll try to do is I'll try to very quickly make an update to Fuse. So Aki Franklin, if you could put some music on for me, Aki, while I try to do that, then that would be greatly appreciated, Aki. I'm gonna exit Fuse and I'll be right back. YouTube will continue to play while I do this.
Woke up this morning, feeling so fine. I meditate on the Torah. It's such a delight. Starting off my day. It's just you and me, and I can't wait to see you face to face. Your love gives me reason to wake up. Your love gives me reason to smile. Your love gives me so much purpose. Your love is so precious too. Your love gives me reason to wake up. Your love gives me reason to smile. Your love gives me so much purpose. Your love is so precious to me. Everybody wondering why I'm so happy today. Because Yahuah gave us Yahusha. That's true love to me. If you were in my shoes, I know that you'd be happy too. Because he brought me through, and I hope he does the same for you. Your love gives me reason to wake up. Your love gives me reason to smile. Your love gives me so much purpose. Your love is so precious. Your love gives me reason to wake up. Your love gives me reason to smile. Your love gives me so much purpose. Your love is so precious to me.
This conference is being recorded.
Was good for you. Think about Yahuah makes you smile, smile, Yahuah smile. Your love gives me reason to wake up. Your love gives me reason to smile. Your love gives me so much purpose. Your love is so precious. Your love gives me reason to wake up. Your love gives me reason to smile. Your love gives me so much purpose. Your love is so precious to me.
Well, hallelujah. Praise Yahuah. We're back and it is working now. I want to say Tuda Rabbah to Aki Franklin. Aki for stepping in as always. Greatly appreciated, my Aki. I had to do a quick update. That's the only way I could get the audio to work. So praise Yahuah. That's resolved. And so I'm going to go to Aki Willie. And then after Aki Willie, I'm going to come back to foundational facts. I'm not sure who it is, but I'm looking forward to hearing you. So Aki, please go ahead, Aki. We can hear you now.
Okay, you can all hear me now?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, well, praise Yahuah, Shabbat Shalom to the family. I just want to say, I'm just grateful to be able to live to see another day. Some people might take it for granted and stuff, and I'm just grateful to be able to meet the family once again on this Shabbat day. And I'm just starting to get to the point in my life where even though I was taught in the past about then it was the Sabbath as I knew it. But I'm just starting to get to the point where I'm starting to appreciate the Shabbat more and just being able to live to see this day and also be able to get taught as well concerning Yahuah and his word, and also especially getting back to the ancient language, the Abari. So I'm just grateful for everything, and Yahuah willing, toward the end I will be grateful to ask some more questions because it's a learning experience for me, and just being able to grow into it each and every day as Yahuah blessed me or barak me to live to understand him and his word. I just want to say thanks or tada, and I look forward to hearing Yahuah's word.
Praise Yahuah. Praise Father Aki. It is great to hear you, my Aki. And, you know, as I don't think I'm wrong if I should say it is indeed a baraka to hear Yahuah's zeal, you know, for coming from the heart of a young man. I don't know how young you are. Or how old you are. I prefer to just stick with how young you are, right? No matter how what age you are. But it's indeed great. Oh, 30. Praise Yahuah. Praise Yahuah. That is indeed a baraka. You know, so Yahuah truly is turning the heart of his people. Even the young man. How can a young man cleanse his ways? Praise Yahuah. That's by walking in the Torah of Yahuah. And so I praise Yahuah for you, my Aki. Truly do give Yahuah praise, honor, and esteem for you, for the work that he is doing in the life of our people. And so praise Father. I'm not that much older than you, Aki. As a matter of fact, today is my birth date. And so, you know, to Yahuah be all esteem. Now, so we do look forward to continuing to hear from you, Aki. Now, let me go to foundational facts. Please, foundational facts fellowship. I think what Fuse did, Fuse just assigned that to Shadi. Fuse just assigned foundational facts to you. But please go ahead if you would. Let me just check to see if you have audio. Okay, your mic is open. Your mic's open, but no audio. You might want to click on that telephone icon toward the bottom there. That's it looks like a telephone turned down. Just click on that, and you're going to lose your audio, and you click on it again, and that should reconnect you, and you click on join audio and see. Okay, yes, okay. So so if you just want to type, that might be okay. But if you want to come to the mic in order for us to hear you, you might have to try that again, see if that works. But there's something wrong with your audio. It might be a situation like mine where you have to go to Fuse and do an update. Click on search for available updates or something like that. And then once you do that, then it should fix your audio issues. That's what I did, and it corrected mine. So if that's the case, you could try that and see if that works, Aki. All right. While you work on that, let me find out if we have any other members of the family, Yasharal, who may want to come to the mic today, just to, Barak Yahuah, share your testimony, share your walk where you are right now. We certainly would like to hear from you. The scriptures tells us that as iron sharpens iron, so does so does the presence, the countenance of a man's friend, or you can say the testimony of a man's friend. You see, and so please do not be shy. I see Aki Keenan. Please go ahead, Aki.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
God.
Great to hear you, Aki.
Yeah, thank you.
Praise Yahuah.
I'm glad to be here with all the with the Mishpachah here, and I just want to be.
Praise Father.
That's all.
Oh,
thank you, Yahuah.
praise Yahuah. Praise Yahuah. Great to hear you, Aki. And it's an amazing thing to know that we can hear from you from all the way across the way there in Afghanistan. And yet it sounds like you're right down the street from me. Praise Yahuah for that. And indeed, it is a baraka and a delight to hear you today. All right. There is another flag. Let me see who else. Aki Maganyahu. Please go ahead, Aki. Okay, yes.
Shabbat Shalom, family. It's good to be here. Praise Yahuah for another Shabbat with you. Wanted to share, I guess, a phone conversation I had this morning with my neighbor, Amika. She called me early this morning, and we had a good talk. And she was telling me how she was sharing truth with another man that we met last week. His name is Marvin. He's also Jamaican, but she was sharing with him who he is, where he came from, and who the true people are versus who the people on the land are now. And I just wanted to give Yahuah esteem for that she's actually been reading and looking at the things that I showed her and have talked with her about, and she's actually seeing things, so and sharing them. So wanted to give Yahuah esteem for that, and say Shabbat Shalom, Taylor.
Praise Yahuah. Praise Yahuah. That's a beautiful thing, Aki. And as you say that, I remember a show that was on television when I was growing up. And I don't know why I think like this, but you know, when I think about Yahuah's word, sometimes little things come to mind. You know, so you probably, some of you are probably aware of the little song that I had, commercial, talk about we are farmers, you know, and I kind of, when I think about us, you see, and Yahuah's expectation of us as a people in reaching his people, our people, we are farmers, you know. And so that commercial, when I hear that commercial, it makes me think about me. It makes me think about us, what our role is in reaching out to our people and reaching out to the people of Yahuah. We are farmers, you know. Pam 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 pam. And I think about it. I think about Yahuah's work. We're farmers. You see, Scripture tells us, you know, about the farmer who goes out to sow. Some of the seed fell on good ground. Some fell on stony ground. Some fell among thorns. Whatever. We are farmers, right? In the same way, as you spoke there, Aki, I remember a little show growing up, right? And in the show, it was a guy who he could see things before it happened. But the show, the song that went with the show goes a little verse seen before more. Seeing, is it that it's not even a show, it was a sitcom or something, seeing things or whatever it was. They're seeing things that they've never before. Okay, let me get back on. I just got knocked off of fuse. I'm reconnecting.
conference is being recorded.
Okay. All right, I think I'm back. I'm sorry about that. I got knocked off there, family. But I was saying that, so I think about that little song from that show. It says, I'm seeing things, believe me, that I've never seen before. Seeing things, and so people of Yahuah are seeing things. We're not only farmers, but we're seeing things. We're seeing things that we've never seen before. And so Yahuah said it would be such. It would be that way. And so, we are people who have been in a deep sleep, according to Yeshayahu, Isaiah chapter 29. I believe it is, if I remember correctly. A deep sleep have been brought upon us, but we are awakening from that sleep. And so we are seeing things that we have never seen before. And we give Yahuah praise, honor, and esteem for that indeed. And so we want to barak Yahuah for that. Aki, that's a great testimony. And that's one of the reasons why I like for the family to come to the mic, because it's encouragement to others, to hear that Yahuah would have you reach out to his people. And then in turn, as your seed, the seed that you're sowing in the life of that one is actually germinating, and it is growing, and now it is bringing forth fruit, you see. And so now that seed in return is now, that seed is, that one is now sowing seed in the life of somebody else. And so we give Yahuah praise for that. Halal hu Yahuah. Now, yes, indeed, we say to that Yahuah. Please go ahead, Aki.
So sorry for the interruption, but I wanted to kind of piggyback on what you were saying. It's a beautiful thing, and I give Yahuah praise for allowing me to be a part of these people's lives and what he's shown me. But I also think that maybe we should consider the fact that everybody that we come in contact with, none of them are living correctly, and it's not something we should shun, or we should walk away from them because of this, that, or the other. Maintain a friendship or a contact with them somehow and see if the ground, I guess, quote unquote, the ground is fertile.
Yes.
And see what they do with it. And we also need to be patient, because I've known Amika now for 3 months, and this is the first time I've heard her talk this way. Mm-hmm. So, some people might take a little longer. But just wanted to throw that out there, family. Don't lose heart. Have patience. Sometimes it takes a while to peel away the layers that we all have. Just wanted to throw that out there on my Tuda Aki.
Praise Yahuah, and Tuda for bringing up that very important point, Aki, because I've encountered people who teach and who say that basically, if somebody is not on fire for Yahuah right this minute, then you need to have nothing to do with them, kick them to the curb, have nothing at all to do with them. And the problem with that is that people fail to see that we are a people who have been living in darkness. According to the writings that I just mentioned, the book of Yeshayahu, that we're a people who have been in a deep sleep, you see. We're a people in captivity, we're a people in confusion. And even as we awake, family, even as we awake, and we have studied from Ephesians chapter 3 and chapter 4 in the past, I believe is the text that I'm thinking of. Even as we awake, there is something important for us to understand also concerning each other, that we need to be patient with one another, even as we awake, because we're awakening out of a deep sleep into an environment of confusion. And so, we don't arrive at the truth overnight. We grow in the truth. No one arrives at the truth. We all grow in the truth. And patience is important. Now, while patience is important, you can't just sit back and just go for and with everything, you see, because if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for everything. But you also got to make sure that what you're standing for is truth, absolute truth. And to know that, you know what, even if I think something to be the truth, I better examine it carefully, and I better search myself and my motives carefully, and be willing to receive correction, because it could be that I have been wrong. I was wrong, or I'm wrong about something, and it's a part of the awakening process, you know. And so we've got to remain humble. We've got to remain correctable, and we've got to remain teachable. And we can't believe or start to think that we are so high, or we have arrived in some place that now we can relate to the one who is still in the sleep, or the one who is still walking totally blind. Remember that we were once there, you see. And it's not that we have arrived, but we are actually in the process of awakening. This is a process, so we've got to be patient with one another, you see. And so may Yahuah, I praise Yahuah that you came back to bring that point up, Aki. People, they might not hear you today, but it does not mean that they will never hear you in Yahuah, as Yahuah continue to work on them, you know, Yahuah willing. If they are of the remnant, eventually they will, but we just can't write people off. You see, we don't have the level of knowledge needed to do so. All right, happy Shabbat to you, Aki Berkeley. Great to see you, Aki. All right, so once again, now there was a question. Oh, I heard there's someone on the mic. There was a question on the board.
I think I got it.
Okay, I think you do, Aki. We can hear you.
Family, I'm so happy because Yahuah guide me to this family.
Praise
I'm
Yahuah.
being like looking for him, just seeking him with the best of my abilities, the best I can. I'm in Costa Rica. You have no idea how hard it is. We are, well, most of the people here, you know, they're Catholic, they're Seventh-day Adventist. That's who I grew up with.
Yeah.
It was very hard to me to come out of that religion.
Yes.
Is I've been like, even my mom and family up to this day, they will say, "Oh, you're crazy." When I go through the scriptures and show them like what this means,
Wow.
why there is a contradiction here. Is this ring your bell? They're like, you know, you're right, but they just continue.
Yes.
It took me a month to understand that it's not my job to convince them.
Yes.
It took me a while to understand that I can go and just try to change the world. So what I do is, as you say, last week, Aki, meet Michael.
Yes.
That's the right name.
Yeah.
Study. Make yourself approved. Study.
Yes, indeed.
You, as Yahusha said as well, a carpenter can go and just try to build a house without see how much it's gonna cost.
That's right.
So what I'm doing now, studying the best I can. I got 6 kids.
Wow.
I got a wife. They're most in the Christian thing, as I mentioned last week, but they're listening a little bit.
Yes.
They're trying. But it's very hard to be here. You know, like I think I'm the only one in Costa Rica that know this name. I've been sorry to speak in so much and making this meeting longer, but
no, it's okay.
I just want to get this out, and because I know you are on the same path that I am. And my English is not so good, but I hope you understand what I'm saying. I'm happy to be here, and you'll see me here all the time that I'm available to be here. Right now is a sad day for me. I had to come to work, and I'm working, but I know Jah sees everything. Hallelujah. I am blessed, family.
Hallelujah.
Back to everybody.
Praise Yahuah. Aki, it is indeed a baraka to hear you, my Aki. It is indeed a baraka to hear you. I praise Yahuah that He allowed you to be able, He made it possible for you to be able to join us even today. And even while in this captivity, because we are a people in captivity, we talk about Shabbat and the impact that captivity has on us. And a lot of people talk about being captives. A lot of people talk about being slaves, but yet they don't get how that impacts our ability to walk in Torah the way that we desire, the way we would desire to walk. They don't get that being a slave, being in captivity, sometimes not sometimes, continually hinders us. And that's why we look for our deliverer. That's why we look for our deliverance. Because even today, as my Aki there in Costa Rica, joining us from South America, Aki, it's just indeed a baraka to hear you. But even today, as our Aki there in Costa Rica, he would certainly desire to be home, but because we're not a free people, and then in the bondage that we're in, because we don't run our own society, we don't rule ourselves as a people, as a nation, then we don't always have the say so. You see, we in situations sometimes we might think we do, but certainly life has a way of showing us that we don't, and so some of us, praise Yahuah, is in a position where we don't have to be at work today, while other people of Yasharal are in positions where they have to be. And so Yahuah, Tuda for making it possible for our Aki to join us today, and Tuda to you, Aki, in spite of the challenges, for still putting out the effort, because we have people right now who have the ability, the wherewithal to assemble and to seek Yahuah, but they don't. You see, some eventually will, and some just won't. You see, and we just praise Yahuah for you, Aki. Glad to hear you, and your English is very well, Aki. And so, me, as many of you might already know, I'm how should I put it? Because I don't. Let me just say this real quick. I have a cousin that tells me that I don't teach my children their roots. I don't teach them their heritage. I don't teach them their history. And the reason why he says that is because for him, his heritage, his history is being a Jamaican, so telling his children about Jamaica and just surface stuff. Whereas, so he feels like the way you teach your children as a Jamaican, so-called Jamaican, the way you teach your children their heritage and their history is to tell them about Jamaica, and not even tell them about the real history of Jamaica, about the plantations of Jamaica, about slavery in Jamaica, not even telling them that. No, you don't need to tell them that. No, just tell them about the bright sunshine and the beautiful beaches, and that's giving them their heritage, you see. And so because that's not what I spend my time trying to teach my children, then he feels as if I'm not teaching them their history. I'm not teaching them their heritage, you see. But that's not my history. My history is in the book. Your history is in the book. And that's what I seek to teach my children, you see. And so Aki, it is just a baraka to hear you. Okay. My Asha just want you to know, Aki, my Asha, she just wrote down what she was praying for you, and I want to read it. She's and what she's praying, I pray Yahuah would continue to open your eyes, giving you understanding and knowledge of his word and ways. And so that's her continued prayer for you, Aki, and that's a prayer for all of us, and so may Yahuah barak you, may Yahuah barak your children, may he open the eyes of your family, close and far. And may Yahuwah's work be done in your life continually. May he continue to favor you, even in the workplace. All right. Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else, Aki? Oh, what is your name, Aki? Aki, from Costa Rica. And Aki Dani Al, I'm sorry, Aki, I'm going to come right to you. And there is a question on the board. Before I go to Aki Dani Al, I want to make sure that I answered that question from Aki, talking about breaking the curses. That was from Aki. Yes, what's your name, Aki?
My name, well, my name is Wendell, but I searched for that name. What is the meaning? And it means, to what the internet says, it says that it means like as somebody who's willing to do something.
Oh.
So I said, okay, I'm willing to praise Jah. So I changed my name for Wend Yahu. Like somebody is willing to do everything or anything for Yahuah.
Hallelujah. Praise Yahuwah. I like that. Yes, indeed. So,
yes, and since you permit me to speak one more time.
Oh, absolutely.
I was trying a few days ago I downloaded a few of your videos, and I was trying to translate few of your teachings. I'm still not done with it, but I'm gonna upload one for you and give you a private link and let you check it out and see if that's, if it's okay with you. Then I will upload it and make the Spanish speaking people that may be seeking Jah can understand what you're saying. I don't know if that's fine with you.
Aki, that is wonderful, Aki. That's wonderful. You need no special permission from me. That's just wonderful. I praise Yahuwah. I praise Yahuwah for that and for you. Praise Yahuwah. That's just wonderful, Aki. That's wonderful. Praise Father. And there is something else that you had asked the question about breaking that curse. If anyone can break that curse. That was where I was speaking earlier about Yahuwah said that because you have rejected me, that I will also reject you, and I will reject your children and your children's children, and it would cause a deep sleep to come upon us. That's from the book of Yahuah, Isaiah chapter 29. And the question was, so can anyone break that curse? And in the time that we're in, the breaker of the curse is Yahuwah himself, Yahuwah, Yahusha. And so now what the people have got to do, he says that, you see, now after he has come to be our Redeemer, he had paid the ultimate price, right? The cost to redeem us. Now the price is paid. Basically, a gift has been given, and now it's up to the individual person, because now every man will have to give an account for himself. And so now it's up to the individual person to respond to the call, because Yahuwah does call, Yahuwah does cry out, Yahuwah does knock. He said, behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man do hear my voice and open the door, I will come in and I will sup. I will eat with him and he with me. And so, Yahuwah, he breaks that curse. And now, so the breaking of the curse is actually a gift given, because there was no one. He said, no man would be able to deliver you. No man would be able to redeem you. No man would be able to buy you back. But I myself will be your Yasha. I myself will be your salvation. You see, and so Yahuwah, he came to deliver, to redeem us. The price has been paid, and it's paid in full. And so now it's for the people to hear, to hearken and to hear. That's the other thing concerning Yahuwah and the timing of Yahuwah. Because people talk about the end times, and they try to pack Yahuwah into a short period of time. They do it with creation. They do it with everything. They do it with the so-called end times. and they don't see Yahuwah's working, end times working began a long time ago, because the end times working of Yahuwah began with him coming to surrender his life for us. You see, that was all about our return. The fact when he came to redeem us is all about our return. You see, our regathering. But it takes time. It takes time. And again, that's where we need to be patient with one another. Imagine, look how long it has taken us, you see, and how long it has taken many others, you know. But that is Yahuwah's working. You see, he knows the end from the beginning. Yes, indeed. Praise Yahuwah. Praise Father. Great testimony, Aki. And Aki, yes. Let's see. Let me just get it. Read again here. So Aki, when Yahoo said, please say that's to your, I think to my Asha, for, okay, Tuda. And he wanted to say Tuda for the prayer, babe. Praise Yahuwah. Praise Yahuwah. No problem, Aki. I caught on. I struggled a little bit, but I caught on. Praise Father. I want to say Shabbat Shalom to Akut Dana, joining us via YouTube, and to the rest of the family there on YouTube joining us. I want to say Shabbat Shalom to you all, family. Again, family, I want to encourage you, because you see, if it's only me speaking and you never come to the mic, then these testimonies are not heard. And I just want to say again to Aki, when Yahuah, Aki, again, Tuda for your efforts there, Aki, in getting Yahuwah's word out to those who don't speak the English language. And I just want to say Tuda Rabbah, and I praise Yahuwah for you and for your efforts, and may Yahuwah barak you in the works of your hands, Aki. And again, you know, the videos, let me just say this to everyone listening. The videos that I put on YouTube, I would never try to copyright them. I can't put a copyright on Yahuwah's word. Yahuwah's word is free. I can't copyright it. I can't sell it. I can't do none of that to it. Then I'd be trying to pimp his word. I don't want to pimp Yahuwah. I don't want to pimp Yahuwah's word, because there is destruction awaiting those who do. And so what I put on YouTube, or what I put on the website, or what I put on Facebook, it's there for the entire world to see. It's there for the entire world to take and to use freely. I used to create a lot of banners for Facebook when I had more time. And you know, from time to time, I'll be watching something. I'll watch a video on YouTube, or I'll go to a website, and I see banners that I created, and people are using them. They didn't ask if I could use them. They take them and they make little changes to them, and they use them. I don't care. You see, Yahuwah's word is getting out. I have one banner in particular talking about the identity of Mashiach in the flesh, you know, just pointing out some differences between Yahusha and Jesus. And one of the things that I pointed out in the banner is about his complexion, his skin tone. And I pointed out that he was not white as we are taught, but that he was black. And so somebody liked the banner, but they didn't like that message. So what they did was they took the banner and they crossed out that part, and they crossed out the black, and they put white in there, you know. But they wanted to use the banner that I created. So in that case, I responded to the person that did that, and I told them, if you're going to use the banner that I create, then you need to leave it as it is. If you're going to change anything in that way, you know. And so that's the only time I've ever said anything to anyone who have used anything that I've posted, you know, online. So, but Aki, and anyone here in this room, anyone listening, any of those videos, if you want to download them to share them with someone, please feel free to do so. The word is not mine, it's Yahuwah's. I don't have a patent on it. I don't have a right to it. It's Yahuwah's word. I can't charge for it, none of that, you see. And so feel free. Praise Yahuwah. Okay. Just wanted to check. Aki Daniel, please go ahead, Aki. I'm sorry I kept you waiting so long. Please go ahead, Aki Daniel.
Okay, I want to say Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom to you, Aki.
Yeah, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. It's true, but I'm going to be here. You know, I just want to give a thanks to Yahuah for giving us another opportunity to come together in fellowship. Now, I listen to my kids talk about being on the job and just thinking about how sweet it'll be when we get back into Yahuah Shalom. You know what I'm saying? So, everybody keep your expectations up. Okay, I know it'll be rough dealing with this captivity, but Yahuah faithful, you know what I'm saying? Every time in school, so that's just been good, y'all.
Yes. Praise Yahuwah. Tada for that encouragement, Aki. And that's key. Endure. You know, it is those who endure to the end that shall be delivered. Praise Yahuwah. So once again, tada, Aki. I was trying to remember. There's another text. I believe it's in the book of Kapha. I don't remember it right now, but it's basically speaking about our endurance and the ability to endure. And so, tada for that encouragement, Aki. Tada for sharing. Praise Yahuwah. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to turn our attention to our study for today. We're going to get into Yahuwah's word. We're going to the book of Mashaly or Mashaly, Proverbs, chapter 31. It's a well-known passage. We're continuing in our study on a woman's role, and that's what we're on. And so I'm going to get that on the screen here, family. I'm going to put that on the screen so that everyone can see, whether you're on YouTube or here on Fuse. I'm going to put that on the screen so for us all to see. Okay, we're going to Mashaly, Proverbs, and you know, Yahuwah willing, in time, one of my hopes, my desire is for us to go through the book of Proverbs from beginning to end, verse by verse, line by line, chapter by chapter. One of my desire is because there is so much wealth of knowledge and wisdom and understanding that can be gained from this writing, and so I am looking forward to us going over that in Yahuwah's time. But today we're going to chapter 31 here in the book as we continue to examine the scriptures on a woman's role, and in particular today we're looking at a woman's role as Asha, a woman's role as wife. You see, the word Asha actually means, let me just share this. The word Asha actually means, you know, there is actually no word for wife in Abari so much. Technically, you could say there is no word for wife. The word is woman. The word is woman, but in Abari, you understand the difference because of context. You understand the difference between a single woman and a married woman when the word is used, you know. And so you say Asha could be referring to a married woman, or Asha could be referring to a single woman, but the context allows us to know which is actually being spoken of. Okay, context allows us to know which is actually being spoken of. Today, we're looking at the married woman. We're looking at the married woman. Okay, and so we're going to Mashaly, Proverbs, chapter Proverbs chapter 31. Praise Yahuah. Hallelujah. Akut Kaya said, can't wait to get to that. Then going through the writings of Mashaly, line upon line, verse by verse, chapter by chapter. Yes, indeed, Akut. I look forward to that also. Okay, so we're in chapter 31, and I'm going to begin reading. And as we go through this, we're going to examine the details. Okay, we're going to examine the details. The words of King Lamuel, a message which his mother taught him. Okay, so chapter 31 of Proverbs, Mashal or Mashaly, is actually the words of one of Yasharal's king. And he recorded it because he found it to be great advice, great teaching concerning what he should look for in a woman. Okay, so today we're looking at what a man should look for in a woman. And as we continue in our study, we're going to look at what a woman should look for in a man. In society today, and even among our people, what we have in this dysfunction is you often find that people, men and women are attracted to, in many cases, they're attracted to what they're accustomed to. What do I mean by that? If they grew up in an abusive situation, in an abusive household, they tend to be attracted to an abusive man, right? And they're looking for him without realizing they're looking for him. If I don't know if I can find this video, I would put it on here if I could find it, but I don't want to spend too much time looking for it. But I was watching a video recently of a series or an episode from Divorce Court. That show that comes on television here in the U.S. and probably comes on television in other places. But the name of the program is Divorce Court. And you have this man, and he took this woman to court. His wife took her to court because she left him. She said that she was going to the store one day, and she left, but she never came back. She took the car. It was their car. He saw it as their car because they were married. She took the car and she left to go to the store and never returned. She saw him, or he saw her, only 18 months later. You see, after seeking to now, when he found out that she had just left him with no explanation, she left him, and now he's trying to get his car back. And so he decided to take her to court, because after he finally found out where she was, he found out that she had wrecked the car and basically did away with it. And so he said, well, he need at least a half of the money back for the car. So he took her to court. When they went to court, the judge begins to question, trying to find out what happened. Were you abused? Why is it that you left? Was he abusive to you, or what was the situation? Well, as it turned out, she said that he was too nice. She said that he was too kind. She said that she said that it was scary how nice he was, because he would cook her dinner and he would help to clean the house and different things that he would do. She thought that that was a little scary. And the problem was that she was accustomed to the total opposite. And because she was accustomed to the total opposite, she was not attracted to that, even though what she said that she wanted stability, she wanted a good husband, yet she was in search of something else. She was in search of what she was accustomed to. And what she was accustomed to was having an abusive man. What she was accustomed to was having someone who cared about themselves first and her last. And she was drawn to that. She was drawn to that dysfunction. And so she could not cope with this man treating her well. Kalab, gotta stop. Okay, she could not cope with this man treating her well, and so she left. Well, there are many people like that today. People are drawn to what they're accustomed to. No matter how messed up what they're accustomed to may be, you would think that, okay, if I grew up in a situation where I was abused, then I'm going to try to look for something different. But that's not the case in most cases. The case in most cases is that people look for what they're accustomed to, you see. And so in men and in women, we find relationships, we find marriages where it's dysfunctional, because in many cases, people are drawn to what they're accustomed to. And in many cases, they do so not realizing that that's what's happening. They keep going back to what they're accustomed to, you see. Yep. And as Key Edward pointed out there, she had low esteem. And many people today suffer from that low esteem. And so they don't feel they deserve anything better, you see. They don't feel they deserve anything better. And so they settle for the one that's going to treat them badly, the one that's going to put them down. And when somebody comes along that treats them good, it's like a curse to them. You see, it's like a curse to them. And that could be the worst thing that could happen to them, even though it is actually the best thing that could happen to them, or one of the best things that could happen to them. And so here, this mother taught her son what to look for in a woman. You see, and as parents, it is important for us to teach our children what to look for in a spouse. It is important for us to teach our children what to look for in a spouse. Now, as we continue to go through the study, we will see when this should begin, when it starts. When do we start teaching them what to look for in a spouse? Do we wait until they're 18? Do we wait until they're 15? Do we wait until they're 16? When do we start teaching them what to look for in a spouse? This king was taught by his mom, and he was taught so well that he remembered her words to the point that he could write it down with great detail and with great precision. And so that's what we're reading in the book of Mashaly, the words of King Lemuel, the words given to him by his mother. Okay, now that tells us something about the role, one of the roles of the woman in the house. The first, she is the child's first teacher. Now, again, it kind of goes back to that myth that women are not supposed to teach. We looked at that already, where it says women are not supposed to teach. And we find in the scriptures that that's not true, that it's not factual. But in fact, that the woman is our first teacher. The woman is our first teacher. All of us. The mother is our first teacher. The mother is the first one to teach the child. And if the mother is messed up, then the child is going to be messed up. Because if the teacher is messed up, then the lessons that the teacher teaches will be messed up, you see. And so the woman, her role in the family is very important. Her role in the family is very critical. Her role in the marriage is critical. Her role with her children is critical. And so she is the first teacher, okay? Even before the man begins to bend, even before the man begins to influence, even before the father begins to influence, the mother has more of an impact on that child. And so if you have a messed up woman, if you have a messed up wife, you can easily end up with messed up children. You can end up with a situation, you can end up as a man, you can end up with a household where you're constantly, now you're not just struggling and wrestling and fighting with the wife, but you're fighting with the children also. Why? Because she is their first teacher, you see. And if she is leading them wrong, then it's going to make things more difficult for you as a man. And so Lemuel's mother recognized how important it is for her son to know what type of wife, what type of woman to look for. And so she taught her son. So here it is, the words of the king Lemuel, a message which his mother taught him. What, my son? And what son of my womb? And what son of my vows? Do not give your strength to women, nor your ways to wiping away kings. You know what's interesting here? She recognized that in parenting, you're not raising boys and you're not raising girls. Okay? A mother must recognize, and a father must recognize, parents must recognize that in raising children, you're not raising boys and you're not raising girls. You're raising boys to be men and you're raising girls to be women, you see. So you can't treat them as if you're raising them to continually be boys and to continually be girls. You're raising them to be responsible. You're raising them to be productive. You're raising them to be set apart first and foremost. You see? You're raising them to make good decisions. And so you're not raising them to be children always. But when they're given to you, they're gifts. And we're going to go to the book of Tehillim in a moment. But recognizing that they're gifts and the role of the gift. First, we've got to recognize that when we have children, that what we're raising is, we're not raising them to have individualistic thinking. But Yasharal is to raise their children from the perspective of nationhood, recognizing that they're a part of the puzzle of the nation, they're a part of the fabric of the nation. And so when we raise our children, we're supposed to raise them in a way where they think nationally, where they think about how their actions affects their nation. Because you see, without individuals, you have no nation. You see, it is individuals that make up a nation. But the thing about that is that you can't have individuals thinking individually and then expect to have a nation. Because a nation divided among itself certainly will not stand. And so she recognized that she was raising a man, not a boy. Not only was she raising a man, she also recognized that she was preparing a boy to be a king. Not just a man, but to be a king one day. And so this is her advice to him. Do not give your strength to women, nor your ways to wiping away kings. Do not give your strength to women. What does that mean? Well, if you spend your days as a young man chasing after women and that's all you do, that's your favorite pastime, all of your strength will be given to women, in that the time that should have been spent preparing yourself for a future, preparing yourself for a life is spent squandered on whoring. That's one. Number two, if that's the lifestyle you choose to live, then you're going to find yourself having children, many, by many different women. And that's going to cost you. That's an expensive hobby. And not only is it expensive from a financial perspective, but it is expensive in many other ways also. It is expensive spiritually. It is expensive emotionally. It is expensive physically. It's going to cost you. It's going to create drama. It's going to create chaos, and it's going to be a financial strain. And so she tell him, do not give your strength to women, nor your ways to wiping away kings. So don't spend your time trying to topple other kings. Rather spend your time trying to build your own kingdom, trying to build your own nation, trying to build your own people. The problem with many kingdoms and why they ultimately fall is because of greed. They set their sights, they want to conquer the world. Rather than, if you have a kingdom, if you have a land, focus on building that land. No, you want to get greedy. And so now you want to set your sight. You want to become a world leader. You want to rule you want to rule everybody else. And so now you neglect your own to go after. You know, they have a proverb. My grandma used to say this, and it's not hers. It's a proverb that's been around. I'm sure you're familiar with it. It says that a bird in the hand is worth two in the bushes. A bird in the hand is worth two in the bushes. You know, it would be like someone having something of great value. They don't really see the value in it, but they look and they see something that they don't have. It might be something that their neighbor has, and they fail to see the value in what they have, and so they might just sit it down carelessly to go after what somebody else's has. And in the end, they might not even acquire what the next person have and end up losing what they do have. You see? End up losing what they already had in their hand. You see? And in this case, it could be with women. It could be with men. You have marriages. You have people who get into relationships and marriages, and they have a wife. They have a husband. But then they look next door and they see their neighbor's wife or their neighbor's husband. And they figure, oh, that one's better than the one I have. So they leave the one they have to go rob their neighbor. And when I say neighbor, it might not be your neighbor next door. Today you have people trolling on Facebook or wherever else, going after other people's wives and other people's husbands, right? You see? And what's unfortunate? They might leave the one they have to go after somebody else's, only to get that one that they went after, and then to find that the one they had was still better than the one they went after, because they don't recognize the value of what they have while they had it. You see? Absolutely. Just as Yahusha wanted to be like the other nations, because they did not see the value, they did not see the greatness, they did not see the benefit in what they had. And so they play the harlot spiritually, they play the harlot physically, and in the end you lose. So she said to him, do not give your strength to women, nor your ways to wiping away kings. Not for kings, O Lamuel, for kings to drink wine, nor for princes to desire strong drink. And so what she is saying is you need to remain sober. As king, you must always be sober. And that's not just for a king, but as ruler of your house, as leader in your house, you need to remain sober. You see? You need to be sober. Now, that's not to say that because Christianity teaches that it's a crime, it's a so-called sin to have a drink. The scriptures doesn't teach that. I'm going somewhere else here just for a second. I'm not getting off topic. You see, it's not saying that the king can't have a drink. It's not saying that as leader of your household you can't have a drink. It's Christianity that says that drinking anything is a sin. The scriptures doesn't say that. You see, the scriptures even shows where the people of Yasharal, they drank strong drink. However, you ought not to be drunk. Now, I don't like strong drinks, and so I wouldn't drink strong drinks. But if I did drink strong drinks, I wasn't to drink to the point of drunkenness. You see. And so she said to her son, she told him that it is not for kings to drink wine, nor for princes to desire strong drink. And what she's cautioning him against is drunkenness. Now, we're learning a lot already from this woman. You see, we're learning a lot about her personality. We're learning a lot about her wisdom, because she is one that seeks to instruct her son in making right decisions. Okay, so as women, as the wife, as mother, the woman has a responsibility to instruct her children correctly. Now, to instruct the children correctly is not just to tell them what they should do and how they should live, but you go and do something else and live another way. You got to practice what you preach. You can't tell your daughter, don't be a whatever, but you're living that kind of life, because what you say don't count. The only time what you say count is when what you do actually supports what you say. But you can't tell them, you can't tell your children not to do this and not to do that, but then you're doing the same thing. You see. Because it's not what you say that they're going to see. And we have children listening, so I want to make something clear also, even as I say that. Because take, for example, alcoholic beverage. Of course, you're going to tell your children you can't drink, or you shouldn't be drinking alcohol. You're not developed to the point where you can drink alcohol. In no way whatsoever, mentally nor physically, you're not developed to consume alcohol. But that doesn't mean that because your parent says you're not to consume anything with alcohol in it, that they can't or they shouldn't. You see, so it is important too for the child to understand the difference between certain rules that might apply to them and that which applies to an adult. Today you have children who believe that if it applies to an adult, then it applies. If it applies to them, then it applies to an adult. You see, and that's that misunderstanding. And so they feel like, well, if the grown-up can do it, then I should be able to do it. And that's not the case. And so I just want to make that clarification. So she said that it is not for kings to get drunk. Verse 5, lest they drink and forget the Torah, forget the law, and pervert the right of all the afflicted. And so what she is saying is that when you combine drunkenness and power together, that is dangerous. You see, when you combine drunkenness with a person with power, that is a dangerous combination. You do not want a drunk holding a gun. And listen, I don't want to so much. I don't want to. There's a microphone open, family. I don't want to so much put politics in the mix, but I'm going to use an example here. Yes. I don't want to so much put politics in the mix, but I want to use something that I recently saw in the news. I want to use something that I recently saw in the news as an example, and it is this: in that nightclub shooting down there in Florida recently, Donald Trump was asked about the shooting and what he thought in regards to guns and background checks and everything like that. And Donald Trump said his response to the reporter was something that you always hear said. He said, the only thing that can stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. Okay? Or good guys with a gun. And he said, he went on to say, can you imagine if the people in that club had guns and somebody, when he started shooting, somebody responded and went boom, boom? What a beautiful thing that would be, he said. And what he was implying, he then later on, when they started criticizing what he said, he kind of took it back. But what he was implying was this. What he was saying was that if you had some party goers in the club who themselves had guns, they would have been able to shoot back at this guy that came in there shooting, and that would have been a beautiful thing. Now, I think that's insane, quite honestly. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine drunk people in a club with guns? You wouldn't need that other nut to come in shooting up the place, because they would have been shooting each other. Because when they drink and they get drunk, people get stupid. You see? So what she was saying to her son is, you do not combine drunkenness with power. You see? You do not combine drunkenness with power. So this is a woman that's certainly far wiser than even Donald Trump. And many, perhaps all of these so-called politicians that we have. She said, you do not combine drunkenness with power. If you're going to encourage people going to a nightclub to carry guns with them, then what you're forever going to have, you're always going to have chaos, you see. Now, nightclubs aren't the place to be. We don't have to worry about that because we don't go to them, you see. But I'm just using that to make a point. Donald Trump said that the people going in the club should be armed. People going out partying, they should be allowed to carry their guns in the club with them too, you know, to stop incidents like that. And what I'm saying is, when you combine drunkenness with power, what you end up with is chaos, you see. Now,
people can't even hold their tongues, let alone
when they get drunk, right?
Hold a gun.
Yes. So when people get drunk, they can't even manage what comes out of their mouth. Much more, they have a gun with them. You see? Now, he says, so verse 5 says, lest they drink and forget the law, the Torah, and pervert the right of all the afflicted. Now, give strong drink to him who is perishing, and wine to those embittered in being. Okay? Now, give strong drink to him who is perishing, and wine to those embittered in being. And I believe that explains itself, right? For the person who is ill, she is saying, strong drink will relieve some of their pain, some of their suffering, right? And for the person who is down, the person who is depressed, give them a little wine. It relaxes them, right? Okay, so that's just sensible, what you would call information, right? Now, we're continuing on. Open your mouth for the dumb in the cause of all the sons of the departed. Open your mouth for the dumb in the cause of all the sons of the departed. She's talking about orphans here. She's saying that you've got to speak up for the orphan. You've got to speak up for those who do not have a voice. And that's something that we as a people have got to understand. So oftentimes, I see, even among our people, I see where people will say that we were talking about Yasharal earlier, and those who have not yet come to a knowledge of Yahuah. And Aki Magan Yahu had brought up the fact that we can't or we shouldn't just cut people off. And oftentimes we see our people who are ignorant to Yahuah, not living according to his word, people of Yahuah nonetheless, but they're in ignorance, they're in this deep sleep, and things come upon them, injustice come upon them. And among Yasharal, there is this belief that if they're not living for Yahuah, then we should not speak up on their behalf because they're not living for Yahuah. But that's not what the scripture says. You see? That's not what the scripture says. We have a responsibility to speak up for those who do not have a voice, right? We have that responsibility to speak up for those who do not have a voice, you see. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed, Aki. Yes, indeed. That's right, from the book of Shaphatim, the book of Judges. Well, actually, he went to sleep. She gave him milk, put him to sleep. That's what it was. He asked for water. She gave him milk. His case was a little bit different. He was tired from running, you know. His case was a little bit different. But the same thing could easily happen, you know. So he says, open your mouth for the dumb, for those who cannot speak, in the cause of all the sons of the departed. So speak up for the orphan, for those who do not have a voice. Who does find a capable wife? Here we go. Who does find a capable wife? So what she did first was she gave him some advice on dealing with social issues. Okay? She taught her son, she gave him valuable advice on dealing with social issues as a king in governing a people. Keep these things in mind. Now, I'm going to turn my attention to you finding a wife. Okay? A woman. You see. Yep, there it is. Shamshun, he got drunk and lost his hair. Absolutely.
So you said Shah is not
Yes. Asha means woman, which from an English perspective, yeah. Right.
So there's capable.
Yeah. Yes. Well, that's what we're getting to. Okay. So who does find a capable woman? A capable Asha, a capable wife. For she is worth far more than rubies. Okay? She is worth, a good woman is worth far more than rubies. A good woman, in other words, a good woman is priceless. The heart of her husband shall trust her, and he has no lack of gain. Her husband will trust her. Her Ayash will trust her. You see? And he has no lack of gain. He's able to trust her. She is trustworthy. And she does not weigh him down. She does not cause him to lose, but rather she causes him to increase. She is not one that simply takes away, but she is one that actually causes them to multiply, to increase. She shall do him good and not evil all the days of her life. Now that goes back to teaching our children. That goes back to the woman and the man, but I'm focusing on the woman now. It goes back to her teaching her daughter, teaching her son. It says that a good wife, a good woman does her husband good, does her man good all the days of his life. All the days of his life. You know what that means? That means from the beginning of his life to the end of his life. But you say, but how is that when she did not know him at the beginning of his life? He did not know her at the beginning of her life. So how is it that you are going to say that she does him good, does her husband good, or Ayash good all the days of his life? Well, because the mother, the parents, should recognize that they are preparing girls to be women. They're preparing girls to be somebody's Asha, somebody's wife. And they're preparing boys to be somebody's husband. And so, in many cases, not in all, but in many cases, if we would instruct our children according to Yahuwah's word, they would have in them the fear of Yahuwah. And in having the fear of Yahuwah, they would keep themselves in such a way that honors their spouse that they have not met yet. They will live their life in such a way that honors their spouse. They will keep themselves preserved for their spouse. And so a good woman does her husband good all the days of her life. Now keep in mind, we're in dysfunction. And so as a people in dysfunction, this has not been our case. We were not brought up in the ways of Yahuwah. We were not instructed in the ways of Yahuwah. The society in which we live goes contrary. And so perhaps I can say that all of us, none of us, not man, not woman, have met the standard in that we can say that we have done our spouse good all the days of our lives. You see, we did not keep ourselves set apart for our spouse all the days of our lives because of the dysfunction and the dysfunctional society in which we live. Dysfunctional parenting, right? But this woman, a good woman, she does her husband good all, but simply because we were unable to do so starting out in the confusion, it does not mean that it has to stay that way. Yahuwah has given us an opportunity to redeem ourselves. He has already redeemed us, and he has given us the opportunity to redeem ourselves in that now that we come to a knowledge of who he is and what he expects of us, we live our lives in a way that's pleasing to him and pleasing to our spouses. And so we don't have to continue to condemn ourselves about our past, but what we do have to do now is live upright, moving forward. You see. Now he says, open your mouth. Okay, I'm sorry. Verse 10. Who does find a capable? We read that. Verse 11. The heart of her husband shall trust her, and he has no lack of gain. She shall do him good and not evil all the days of her life. She shall, verse 13, she shall seek wool and flax, and with delight she works with her hands. Now, a good wife, a good Asha, is a hard worker. She works hard. She shall seek wool and flax, and with delight she works with her hands. She's a hard worker. You see? She works with her family, with the welfare of her family in mind. She works with her husband in mind, seeking to help him, seeking to help them, because we are one unit. The family is one unit. You see. And so when we come together as one. We should be one in our finances. We should be one in the way we live. We should be one in speech. But that oneness in speech has to be according to the word of Yahuah. You know, the other day we talked about a foolish husband. We looked at Abigail's husband, and he was a foolish husband. And we asked the question, should she, the Asha, then go and agree with her foolish husband? Or should she think for herself in that situation? If the husband is thinking foolishly, do you just go along with the folly? If the wife is thinking foolishly, does the man go with the folly? No. Ultimately, we have a responsibility to do what's right. And so simply because if a husband is making wrong decisions, it's not for the wife to go on with the wrong decision because that's her husband. That's what some people teach, but that's not Yahuwah's expectation. That's not Yahuwah's expectation. She shall seek wool and flax, and with delight she works with her hands. She works to contribute to the house. That's a good woman. She shall be, by the way, let me say this, because in society today, in many cases, the woman might not be able to go outside of the house, maybe because of, say, how many children you may have, right? If you have a number of children and the husband's going to work, and you're still having a difficult time paying the bills, but then the wife is at home with the kids. And the reason why she's at home with the children is because we're talking about the society that we live in today. She's at home with the children because if she goes to work, what she is working probably still can't even pay for daycare, childcare services, right? Or by her going to work, she would only be going to work just to pay for the kids being in daycare. And then you have to look at that and you got to weigh it. Is it worth it? So is she staying at home? Should it be looked upon as if she is not contributing? Or is she actually contributing to the household by staying at home? And the answer to that is she is contributing. She is contributing to the house's finances because that's actually an income. Because if she wasn't home, then somebody would have to pay for childcare for the children. So she is contributing financially, but not only is she contributing financially, if she is a good woman, then she would be also contributing in a way that there is no financial value can be tied to it, because she is actually building her children. She is instructing her children. She is teaching them in a way that could not be done or would not be done in a daycare in this system. And so she contributes to the household. A good woman contributes to the household. You see, she shall seek wool and flax, and with delight she works with her hands. Now, it's interesting. Keep in mind what's going on here. This is the mother of Lamuel giving instructions to him about a good woman. And notice what she said. He said that a good woman, the woman that you're to look for, is one that's going to seek wool and flax. She shall, speaking about in future tense, she shall seek wool and flax. Meaning she's a woman that she's going to work. You will know that she's a good woman. One of the signs of a good woman is that she is not afraid of working. She is not lazy. A lazy woman can only serve to bring you down. You see, if you're not building together, then what you have is you have one person building and then another tearing down. You can't stand still and say you're building. In a relationship, you can't have two people in a relationship, one standing still and the other one working, and somehow y'all are building. You're not building. The one that's standing still is actually bringing the other one down that's working. because what you have is basically dead weight. You have one trying to climb the ladder, and now he's got to be, or she got to be pulling the one that's not doing anything, and you're hindering. In that case, both are being hindered. You see? Yes. Yes, another word would be virtue. A virtuous, a woman of virtue, or a good woman, a woman with good character, good characteristics. You see? So she shall seek wool and flax, and with delight, she's not doing it murmuringly or complaining. With delight, she works with her hands. So if you have a woman who is working, but all the while, in other words, okay, so she's doing stuff around the house or whatever it is that she's doing to contribute to the family, she's doing it bitterly and complaining, and that's not a woman of virtue. That's not a good woman. She's doing it, but she's cursing you out. She's cursing out the husband. You should be a millionaire, and if you was a millionaire, then I wouldn't have to go through this. You know, calling him all kinds of stuff. A good woman does her work with delight. Now, it reminds me of the book of Yashar, in which Abraham, who had not seen his son for some time, had not seen Ashmael, who they call Ishmael. He had not seen Ashmael for some time, and so he decided one day to go and to visit Ashmael. When he went to visit Ashmael, Ashmael's wife was home with the children. Ashmael's Asha was home with the children. And so from outside, he heard her screaming and cursing at the children and cursing Ashmael, her husband. And so he made his, after listening for some time, he made his presence known. And she came out to him. He asked for his son, and she laid out his son some more, cursed the son some more. And so he gave her a message. But you know, the first sign of a foolish man or a foolish woman is the fact that they talk too much. And if you spend too much time talking, it means that you spend too little time thinking and too little time listening. And if you spend too little time listening and too little time thinking about what you hear, then you will have no understanding. And so he left her a message, but she was a woman that spent a whole lot of time talking, not enough time listening, and certainly not enough time pondering. And so he left her a message. But given the fact that she was a foolish woman who spent too little time thinking, too little time listening, and therefore had no understanding, she had no understanding of the message that was left. And so he left her a message for his son, and he said, you know, basically told her a story. Tell him that the peg that he has holding down the house, he needs to get rid of it. Get rid of the peg that's securing the house. And that peg was his wife. She was supposed to be holding down the house. She was supposed to be imparting wisdom to the children. She was supposed to be instructing the children, teaching them while her husband was away. She was supposed to be preparing them, but instead she was damaging them and tearing down her husband. And so her father-in-law said, when he gets home, tell him that the peg that's holding the house together, he need to get rid of it. And so he came home, and she, being a foolish woman, having not thought about the message, gave him the message, and he understood the message. He understood that what his father was saying to him was that the woman that he had, the wife that he had, she was no good for him. And so what did he do? He got rid of her. He put her away because she was no good. You see, his heart could not trust in her. She did not add value to the house. She did not add value to the relationship. She did not add value to the marriage. She was a foolish woman, not a virtuous woman. And so he told her to get rid of the peg. He said, another way that you know a woman, a good woman, a virtuous woman, a good wife, a woman that will be a delight and a baraka to her Asha, is that she shall be as the ships of Tarshish. She brings in her food from afar. That means, you know, in the society that we live, at least for a time, it's amazing. We talked about the fact that the way women were looked at or looked down on in English society. And they like to boast, or European society, they like to boast about how they take care of their women, and other people in other parts of the world doesn't. And I say this from a systematic perspective. I'm not trying to put down any individual, but from a systematic perspective, I say this. And so in European society, women, historically, women were looked down on. Okay? And when they said that a woman's place is in the house, it wasn't from the perspective of esteem, but literally the woman was looked at to be, she was to be the maid. She was not smart enough to go out and accomplish anything. Her place is in the house. Her job was to satisfy me, give me children. But that's as good as she is. In Yasharal, however, that's not the way it was with women. That's not the way women were looked at. That's not the way women were treated. You remember, for example, you remember Masha's cousin, you remember Rab Kaya and her sisters. You remember when Masha came across them, what they were doing? They were taking care of the herd. They were taking care of the cattle, their father's cattle. The women of Yasharal, they worked hard. They went out and they got it done. And they weren't looked down on. You see? They brought value to the house, to the home. They brought value to the marriage. They added. They were not simply a burden to the house, but they were there to build a house. They worked together. He said, she shall be as the ships of Tarshish. She brings in her food from afar. So not only does she gather flax and wool, she was a dressmaker, a home builder, but she also was a merchant. She also rises while it is still night, rises while it's early, and provides food for her household and the portion for her girls. She shall consider a field and buy it. From her profits she shall plant a vineyard. So not only is she a dressmaker, not only is she a home builder, not only is she a merchant, but she's also a farmer. She plants a vineyard. Now, is she doing all this by herself? Should she be doing all this by herself? Is that what makes her a virtuous woman? No. Of course, her husband is there working with her. Doesn't point it out here. Because as this woman teaches her son Lemuel these things about a good woman, she is also inadvertently or indirectly, she is teaching him what a good man is to be also. You can't be a terrible man and expect to have a good woman. Even if she is a good woman and you're a bad man, you're a terrible man, then you're going to burn her out. Before you know it, either you're going to corrupt her or she's going to have sense enough to leave you alone. And you won't have a good woman either way. And so even as she teaches him about a good woman, a virtuous woman, she's actually teaching him about the responsibility of a man, because in order to build a family, it takes the two working together as one. So whatever she is doing, he is doing. He said that she shall gird herself with strength and strengthen her arms. She is strong. Nothing wrong with being a strong woman. You just don't want to be a manly woman. She shall taste when her grain is good. Her lamp does not go out by night. No, that doesn't mean that she worked all night. That's not what that's saying. But it's actually saying more than one thing. She's a good provider. She provides well for her family. And in providing well, it means she's willing to work hard, and she does. But to be a good woman, to be a virtuous woman, does not mean that you have to work around the clock or that you should work around the clock. Because again, if you're working as a team, Ayash and Asha, then there's no need for us to burn each other out, right? Nobody will face burnout. Or even when we work on our finances, we work on it together. Whatever we do it together. Yahuah says in his word that one shall put 1,000 to flight and 2, 10,000. There is benefit in teamwork. There is benefit in partnership. There is benefit in unity. And so in all that we do, if you have somebody that's not working with the same end in mind. If you have somebody that don't share the same vision, then what will happen is you'll find that one person is working double overtime and the other one is doing nothing or pulling in a different direction. When that's the case, it's hard to accomplish anything, because while one is building, the other is tearing down. He says, she shall extend her hand to the poor. I'm sorry, verse 19. She shall stretch out her hands to the distaff, and her hand shall hold the spindle. Okay? She shall stretch out her hands to the distaff. What is distaff? Let's look at it. I'm going to get down to verse 19. Bakayashur. What does it mean? Kashar, from Kashar. It means to be straight, to be upright. Okay, so she shall stretch out her hand to the upright. She will do good to those, for those who are upright. Okay. Let me find my got to get back to, okay, let me put this up here. Meaning she don't condone corruption. She don't hold or entertain folly and foolishness. She shall stretch out her hand to the upright, and her hand shall hold the spindle. She shall extend her hand to the poor, and she shall reach out her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of snow for her household, for all her household is dressed in scarlet. Again, we talked about the fact that she's a dressmaker. You know, these are skills that our people have lost. As a people, as a nation of people, we have been, again, it's because of our captivity, and Yahuah in chastising us in order that we might be delivered, in order that we might be saved from ourselves, from our own crookedness. Yahuah had to strip us of a lot of things, and we have been stripped of many things. We have been stripped of a lot of knowledge, even concerning dressing ourselves. And as generations go on, it gets worse. I remember my grandma and my great-grandma, how they would sit and they would knit clothing. They would use thread and knit, literally knit clothing together and knit blankets. Now, I see my mom and I see my grandmom and my great-grandmom do it. I never saw my mom do it. And I don't have anybody in the family now that does it. And so we become dependent on others. It's a part of the dysfunction, right? It says, she is not afraid of snow for her household, for all her household is dressed in scarlet. She shall make tapestry for herself. She is dressed in fine linen and purple. Her husband is known in the gates when he sits among the elders of the land. Her husband is known in the gates. Her husband is respected in the gates. You know why he's respected? Not because his wife is home by herself doing all the work and all he does is sit in the city square. I've heard people teach something like that. You get the idea that the woman is home and she is just doing everything. You know, this virtuous woman, she is doing everything, and all her husband have to do is sit in the square all day long and basically argue back and forth or reason or whatever the case may be. He doesn't have to do anything. She goes out and she, you know, do all the work, and he just sits in the city square, and he's respected because here he is. He's able, because of her, he's able to sit in the city square and be respected, and she's home and she's taking care of the children and she's making sure everything is right, and that's why he's respected. No, that's not it. He does not sit all day long in the square and gains respect. No, if that's what he does, he would not be respected. That's not the expectation. When he does go to the square, he is respected because his woman does right. You see, he has a good woman, he has a virtuous woman, and they work together hand in hand. So he is respected, she is respected. So it's not a matter that she is doing all the work and he gets to sit around and be respected. Because if he's just sitting around doing nothing, he will not be respected. And certainly, respect is not something that's given. Respect is earned. She shall make fine linen and sell them, and shall give girdles for the merchants. You know, this woman, this is a hardworking woman. And I hate to say it, but in society today and among generations today, many women, there are many women, great many women who would see this as ridiculous. I'd tell you she out of her mind. I ain't doing that. Again, the expectation here is not for her to do it by herself, and the fact is that this is not something that she would do by herself, but she had the help of a good husband. You see, in the same way that Ashmahal's wife was a peg, you have men who are pegs. Being a peg is not a bad thing, but in the same way that she was a peg that needed to be gotten rid of, you have men that are pegs that should be gotten rid of. They don't deserve or shouldn't even have a family because they're not responsible enough. They shouldn't be out there trying to attract anybody. And so again, it takes the two of them working together. This woman was not doing it by herself. But what you need when you're looking for a good wife, you need to find someone that is willing to work with you. You're looking to build a family, you're looking to build a household, you need to look for somebody who shows the willingness to work in true partnership. She shall make fine linen and sell them, and shall give girdles for the merchants. Strength and splendor are her garments. Strength and splendor are her garments. She clothes herself in strength and splendor. She takes pride in being a strong woman. And splendor, a reference to not simply the way she dresses, you see, but in the way she carry herself, in the way she conduct herself, and she rejoices in time to come. She shall open her mouth with wisdom, and on her tongue is the Torah of kindness. There's nothing worse than a cursing woman and a bitter woman, perhaps, to me. You know, when you have a woman that all she's doing is cursing and swearing and nothing good or positive comes from her mouth, it's ugly. It doesn't matter if she has some physical beauty, but if that's all that comes from her, she gets ugly. She watches over the ways of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. She watches over the ways of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Again, this is the woman. This is a woman speaking to her son. Lamuel's mother speaking to him. And understand again that this woman is speaking from the perspective that the man is already operating in the order that he should be operating. And now she has this expectation of her son to be the man that he is to be. Okay? She has done the work in training her son. And so she knows, based on his character, that he is going to walk in the way that he has been taught in being a man, a responsible man, a hardworking man, an upright man. And so now she is saying to him, as a good man, this is the woman that you need to complement you. As an upright man, as a hardworking man, this is the woman that you need. This is what she must look like. This is the complement that you need. This is the woman that you need to work side by side with. So again, this is not just from the perspective of this, the woman is going to do all of this and the man does nothing. All of these attributes that you see in the virtuous woman applies to the man also. Because again, if you only have one, then you just about have nothing. Because it would be like building a house and having somebody coming behind you, picking the bricks off as you put them up. Yes, indeed, Aki. Many today, pretty on the outside, ugly on the inside. Yes, she did. Yes, she did. She watches over the ways of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. She don't have time to sit around and idle. Just as her husband don't sit around and idle. She is always busy about her house. You see. She does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children, you know, put it this way. Put it in today's terminology. He and her, they don't just sit around all day long and twiddle on Facebook or on Twitter or on Instagram or anything like that. They recognize that there's a time for everything and they do what needs to be done. Right? So, what is the woman? 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 What She watches, she shall open her mouth with wisdom, and on her tongue is the Torah of kindness. She watches over the ways of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children shall rise up and call her Baruch, her husband too, and he praises her. He praises her. Call her Baruch, and he praises her because she is Baruch, and she is to be praised. Many daughters have done nobly, but you have risen over them all. Loveliness is deceptive, and prettiness is vain. And this is probably one of the greatest advice that we can give to our sons and to our children, male or female. Because today you have men, you have young girls, you have women, you have really, because to put it frankly, fools come in all ages, in all shapes, in all shades, in all sizes. There is no limit to the age of a fool. And so they come at all ages. And today you have the young fool and you have the old fool. You have young men, you have young women who base what they look for in a person, in a husband or in a wife, who base it on looks, who base it on outward appearance. Whereas even as Aki Edward just pointed out, someone can be pretty on the outside, but ugly within. Terribly ugly within. And so Lamuel's mom cautions him. And she said, loveliness, beauty is deceptive. Appearance, loveliness is deceptive, and prettiness is vain. A woman who fears Yahuah is to be praised. A woman who fears Yahuah is to be praised. It's not a pretty woman simply because she is pretty is to be praised. Simply because she dresses well is to be praised. That's what society does. Society praise those who are pretty on the outside, dress well on the outside. They praise them inwardly. They are a beast, but they still praise them. A woman who fears Yahuah is to be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her works praise her in the gates. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her works praise her in the gates. A good woman is to be rewarded. A good woman is to be rewarded. Now that's, in saying that, it might sound as if the expectation then is for her to do all the work and then give everything to the husband. It could sound that way, but that's not what's being stated. She do all the work, give everything to her husband. No, nobody is giving everything to anybody. We're working together as a team. We're building a home. We're building a family. And above that, we're building our nation. But she is to be rewarded in the same way that a good man is to be rewarded. Now I say that now that's kind of tough to say, because as my wife will always ask me if I want something, if I want her to do this or that. I said, no, babe, I'm fine. I really am. You see, I'm happy, I'm fine as long as my family is fine. But it does says a whole lot. And it does help a whole lot to know that you don't have somebody who their hand is only always out, reaching, looking, asking, needing. but never offers anything in return. And so she is to be rewarded. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her works praise her in the gates. A virtuous woman, a good woman, a good Asha is one first and foremost who fears Yahuah, who seeks Yahuah, who delights herself in Yahuah. She works alongside her husband to provide for her family and not have an expectation that, well, as far as provision goes for the house, then the man is supposed to do that. I'm supposed to just go run around and look pretty and perhaps even mess around a little bit. It's not just men who cheat. Women do too. Some women do it just for financial gain or for some kind of gain. Others do it just for doing it. Men do it also. Of course, in Yasharal, that should not be named among us. But I'm just saying. And so, in looking for a man, or in looking for a wife, characteristics should be that she's hardworking, that she is a woman of good character, and the same for a man, right? And that her family is of great importance to her. We're going to take a break here, family, and then we're going to come back and look at some women. As a matter of fact, before we do that, we'll look at some of the expectations. More pointedly, we'll look at some of the writings from the perspective of captivity, of the expectation of men in the marriage, right, in the household. We're going to come back to that, and we'll continue also to look at women and their role in the family. So we're going to take a break. And then we're going to come back, and then we'll come back to some questions also and comments a little bit later on. But for now, we're gonna pause for a break. It's 4 p.m. Eastern time. I'm sorry if I'm going a little bit slow here. For some reason, I feel a little bit drained, so pardon me if I'm going a little bit slow. And but we'll come back, and we're going to deal with the men for a little bit, and go to some other scriptures. So. But before I go to break, let me just find out for sure before we forget, lest we forget. And based on what we have covered so far, I just wanted to ask before we go to break if there were any comments or questions, so we don't forget when we come back. Just in case, if you have something that you wanted to ask or to emphasize, then by all means, please, you can. Feel free to do so before we go to break. So let me just change my screen so I can see if there's a flag. Okay. Does virtuous equate to flawless? That's a great question, Aki. Does virtuous equate to flawless? and the answer is our definition of beauty is often flawed. Yes. Does virtuous equate to flawless? And the answer to that is no. Virtuous does not equate to flawless. And so the fact of the matter is, the truth of the matter is that, and some people don't like this said, don't like it said, don't like to hear it said, but the truth of the matter is that none of us is perfect. None of us is perfect. We are reaching toward the mark of perfection. We should be pressing toward the mark of perfection, but none of us is perfect. As a matter of fact, sometimes, sometimes perfection may actually be perfection probably could be judged on somebody else's expectation, because where you might feel like, okay, you know, I'm doing pretty good in this area, the next person might interpret that differently. So you might have felt like, okay, you know, I think I've got this down, you know, and the other person being affected might not see it that way. You see, and so no, nobody being virtuous does not mean perfect. You know what's important? What's most important there is the effort. Is to see the effort. We might not get it all together. We might not have it all together, but what's important is effort. Is there effort? Is the person trying? Truly trying? Not just saying they're trying, but are they really trying? You know, so that's what's important, to see effort, you see, because perfection is a process. Perfection is a process. Yes, we need to see intent. We need to see intent. Now, going to a key when Yahuah, a key when ask Abraham tell his son to divorce. Is that what happened? Yes, yes, Aki. Yes, yes, yes. So that's a great question too, Aki, because we're taught to, you know, in Torah gives place for divorce. Now, there is a difference now because there is a change in the contract. There is a change in the contract. There is a new contract. Now, of course, people make a mess of this in teaching about the contract, but there is a new contract. Yahuah has always, according to the scriptures, Yahuah has always hated divorce, but yet he permitted divorce even while he hates divorce. Right? Yahuah himself divorced Yasharal, even though he hates divorce, right? And then, while he stated that if one divorces, if you put away a woman and she goes and become another man's, then you are not to take her back. But because of the change in the contract, Yahuah is able to now go and take back the woman that he divorced who had gone and been with another man. And that's us, Yasharal. We played the harlot. We went and we got with another man. Yahuah divorced us because we were with somebody, and after he divorced us, we went and we got with a few, not just one. We have many lovers, right? But there's a change in the contract, and it's because of this change in the contract. It's not a contradiction. Yahuah does not contradict himself, but there's a change in the contract, and because of this change in the contract, Yahuah is able now to come back and to take us even after we had gone and been with many lovers. If you read in the book of Devarim, Deuteronomy chapter 24, it says, you see where Yahuah says that you know, if for some reason of basically how should I put it? Where some wrong is done and you put away that woman, don't, you know, something wrong, you put her away, don't take her back. Yahuah is then able now to go back and to take us back because of the change, you see. But yes, Yahuah hates divorce, but he made room for it. But now under the new contract, because we are equipped to live differently, because of the indwelling Ruach, we have Yahuah living in us, guiding us. We have Yahuah. We have wisdom living in us. We have knowledge and understanding living in us. We have the power of Yahuah. We have Yahuah in us. And so because of that, we should be able to make better decisions, even when it comes to marriage relationships. We have his Torah that instructs us. And so when we enter into marriage, or we think about entering into marriage, we must understand how serious it is and enter into marriage according to the instructions of Yahuah. And if we do, then we won't have to worry about divorce, having come back to a knowledge of Yahuah. Okay, so a key the law say the husband must die. Okay, so now that's where we're speaking now under the new contract. Under the old contract, the husband didn't have to die. You see, the husband actually didn't have to die. So you had where I'll give you an example. Let's go to Deuteronomy, Dabarim, chapter 24. We go to Deuteronomy 24. Okay, so beginning in verse 1, he says, oh, and I do see questions there on YouTube, so bear with me, family, I'll get to them. When a man takes a wife and shall marry her, then it shall, oh wait, let me put that on the screen. I'm sorry. Let me share that on the screen on Fuse. Okay. When a man takes a wife and shall marry her, then it shall be, if she finds no favor in his eyes, because he has found a matter of uncoveredness, which is a poor translation. Okay. Let me just continue though. Has found a matter of uncoveredness in her, and he shall write her a certificate of divorce and put it in her hand and send her out of his house. And if she left his house and went and became another man's wife, and the latter husband shall hate her and write her a certificate of divorce and put it in her hand and send her out of his house, or when the latter husband dies who took her to be his wife, then her former husband who sent her away is not allowed to take her back to be his wife after she has been defiled, for that would be an abomination before Yahuah. And do not bring transgression on the land which Yahuah your Elohim is giving you as an inheritance. And a man has taken a new wife, let him not go out into the army. Okay, I'm not going to go that far. So you notice here it says that if he finds some reason to put her away after he had taken her and another man marries her, so someone else, and he shall write her a certificate of divorce and put it in her hand and send her out of his house. So after he writes her a bill of divorce, someone else could take her as wife. But what the command here is that if he writes a bill of divorce, writes her, the second husband now writes her a bill of divorce, and even if he dies, the first husband cannot take her back, is the command. You see, so even if the second husband dies who takes her as wife, the first husband is not to take her back. But we see that Yahuah does just that, and that's because of the change in the contract that he was able to do that, or he's able to do that without a contradiction of his own Torah. So going back to the question there, Aki, let me come back to the question, Aki Wendiahu. So going back to that question, as to whether or not the husband had to die before she could remarry, we find in Torah that the husband didn't have to die. If he put her away, someone else could take her, you know, in marriage. But again, that's not from the perspective of her, you know, whoring or committing adultery. It's from the perspective of, well, when you look at the actual word that's used, it actually suggests it could be for any reason of crookedness, basically, you know. So it says that someone else could take her. But now, even if that one died, the second husband dies, the first husband cannot take her, should not take her back, was not to take her back. Going to, what does that apply to? I think there was a question before this, but let me back up a little bit here. Let's see. Marriage is not a game, but it does take work. Absolutely, absolutely, Aki Amanya, absolutely. I'm going to turn my attention to okay, let me go here. Let me turn my attention to YouTube, then I'll come back to this question from Aki Amanya. Now, what do you, this is from Kayla Daly, what do you do in truth? But my baby is not. I love him too. Okay. Okay. What do you do if you're in the truth? But in this case, your husband is not. I love him too. Explain. Taken away. Okay. Okay. Got you. So you try to get it all in there very quickly. Is it by choice? Yes, or belief? Yes. Okay. Great question. Great question, Kayla. So here's the key, and the words of Shahul, it's a letter. It's not, his words aren't scripture. It wasn't scripture. It was his advice. Shahul was giving advice to a scattered people, just like us, a people in captivity, a people waking up to a knowledge of who they were, people of Yasharal in that time, in that generation. Shahul and the taught ones of Yasharal were sent to a people who had been scattered, right? And so Shahul is writing to people of Yasharal that were living in Corinth, and they had been living without Yahuah. These were the Gentiles, the scattered ones of Yasharal. They had lost their identity. They had lost the knowledge of Yahuah, but now they're living in a time where Yahuah is once again awakening them and revealing himself to that generation. And so Shahul writes to them, and they had the same questions. They're like, okay, now, so I've come to a knowledge of Yahuah, but my Asha, or my husband, I've not yet come to that knowledge, and they do not believe. And so Shahul, in wisdom, says to them, if that one is willing to live at peace with you, if they do not become a hindrance to you serving Yahuah, then continue to live peaceably with them, because you don't know what tomorrow may bring, right? You don't know if, simply because they do not believe now, if maybe sometime in the near future, or sometime in the future, that they won't actually turn and now come to a knowledge of Yahuah. Even your very life, your very way of living may be that witness that will cause them to come to a knowledge of Yahuah's truth, or come to a knowledge of who they are and to the truths of Yahuah. And so Shahul says, if they're willing to live peaceably with you, then continue to be at peace with them. Stay in that marriage. But if they become contentious, if they become adversarial toward your way of life, then you need to separate yourself from them. And so it's the same situation with us today. We all do not come to a knowledge of the truth together at the same time. Um, for example, we can take my wife and I, for example. We were in church together, and she started going to church before I did, and I followed soon after. But then coming to a knowledge of Yahuah, so we were in church together. She, as we began to, Yahuah began to draw us. I was quicker to respond. She recognized that something was wrong in church, and while it was difficult for her to let go of church, but she recognized something was wrong. But even as we come to a knowledge of Yahuah and the truths of Yahuah, it was kind of difficult for her to make that transition, whereas it was easier for me. She struggled with a lot of things, I don't want to speak from her perspective. We all do to this day as we continue to grow, right? So we struggle with different things. What's one person's struggle might not be the other person's struggle, but we struggle with different things. But we all don't grow at the same pace. We don't come to a knowledge of Yahuah all at the same time, on the same level, and so on. And so that's where it's important to exercise patience with one another. And again, I mentioned Ephesians chapter 4, I believe, earlier. And maybe when I come back from the break, we could look at that, because this is, yes, and that will happen. That will certainly happen. That will happen, Akud. And so patience, exercising patience is very important, because you don't know what, as long as they're not contentious, where they begin now to fight against you serving Yahuah. When that happens, then you got to make a choice. You got to choose whether you're going to serve Yahuah or you're going to serve them, you see. And so that's what that comes down to. And yes, belief is a choice. Belief is a choice, you see. Belief is a choice. Now, going back to a key, Amanya, it says, does that apply to the man? Can the woman write him a bill of divorce? There is, for example, I believe it's in Matatyahu or somewhere there, where the woman can certainly separate herself from the man. The scriptures, the writings give that, I think something Yahusha said actually that imply that, and Shahul echoes the same thing. And so or in Mark, yes, somewhere, I forget where, but you get that right is given. Yes, but she cannot remarry. She cannot remarry, you see. She has to remain single. But it does. Now, that brings up another aspect. That's people living in Torah, right? That's people living in Torah. What we're talking about now, there that we read in Mark with Yahusha speaking, that's people living in Torah, living according to Torah. What about people awakening in this captivity to a knowledge of Yahuah, right? You came together in under a pagan ceremony and under a pagan name. You and your spouse came together, not in Yahuah, right? But you came together. Okay, now you come to a knowledge of Yahuah, right? And the one might have come to the knowledge of Yahuah first, the other one's still not there. Okay, you came together. Now, first of all, what we have to understand is truly, when you go to church and the pastor pronounce you husband and wife, that's not according to scripture. When you go to church and you take an oath made up by the church about, will you take this man, will you take this woman to be your lawfully wedded husband, your lawfully wedded wife, to have and to hold in sickness and in health, to death do us part, whatever, whatever, whatever. That's something made up by men, by the Christian church. Those things are not binding by scripture, you see. Marriage is not, what this society does concerning marriage is not marriage according to scripture, you see. And so if you have two people who are willing to recommit themselves, even if one comes to a knowledge of Yahuah and your spouse has not come to that knowledge, there need to be some kind of understanding. This is where you are going to be able to determine whether or not this person is going to be an antagonist, or they're willing to say, you know what, I'm not there, I'm not where you are, I don't see what you see right now, but you know what, I love you, and I'm not closed to seeking the truth. I want to find the truth, and I'm not there right now, I must be honest with you. But you know, and if you say to this person, you know, our marriage, according to truth, our marriage is not scripturally founded. And so I don't recognize that to be the thing that bind us together, but I do want to commit myself to you and you to be committed to me, you see. And so I consider, I hold you to be my spouse, my Hasha, my husband, whatever, from the perspective of being one in Yahuah, but not based on what some pastor told me. And I'm willing to, if you're willing to be at peace with me and to seek after Yahuah, to seek out truth, I'm willing to wait. And if that one is willing to commit to that, then you know, in time, then that's a marriage that can be made right in the eyes of Yahuah. They're not willing to even acknowledge any of that, then that's a marriage that is really, it was never a marriage to begin with. It's null and void, you see, because you never came, it was not according to the word of Yahuah. It's not in the order of Yahuah, you see. And so it's important for us, as we come to a knowledge of Yahuah, we recommit ourselves and our marriage to Yahuah, because what we did in the church, that's not marriage according to scripture, you see. So you know, that's really it's a different situation. Akud Mahalia asks, if you weren't married under Yahuah, are you really married? And scripturally, no. Number one, so it's a matter of recommitting. Recommitting yourselves to each other and to Yahuah in Yahuah's name, right? Now Yahuah tells us, he says, do not learn the way of the heathen. Do not do as the heathen do, right? That's what he says to Yasharal. So marriage is a part of the customs of the heathen. The way, you know, the marriage as we see it in this society is according to the customs of the heathen. It's according to the ways of the heathen, you see. And so it's exactly what Yahuah tell us not to do. Now, of course, we did it out of ignorance, you see. But it does not justify, it's not marriage according to scripture. And so when we come to that knowledge, we recommit ourselves to Yahuah, recommit our union to Yahuah, because we do not see where somebody bring us together in the name of Jesus and declare us man and wife, and where you got to go ask the government for permission to get married. That's not marriage according to scripture. If you haven't lived together for years, do you still need a divorce? Now, when you have been bound under this system, um, if you have a marriage certificate issued by this government, uh, and you've been separated from someone, uh, from a legal perspective, I would say you need to separate yourself from that person for legal reasons, because of this system. In this system, that could work against you. So you need to seek to separate yourself, and that would be to go to the courts and get what they call a divorce. To divorce yourself from that, from the perspective of this system for legal reasons. So I would say, even if you've been separated for years, and there is no this person, if this person doesn't have a desire for Yahuah, there's no way. It doesn't seem like there's any coming back, in the right way. Then for legal reasons, it would be wise to disannul yourself from that. Aki Keenan says, but if kids are involved, whoa, yeah, that's a big one. Huh. That's a big one, and the scripture give the answer, and the answer is not easy, Aki. The scriptures give the answer, and the answer is not easy. It's not easy. But what Yahuwah's word tells us is that you're in a marriage, and that spouse is an unbeliever, not willing to turn to Yahuah. Yahuah said to put them and put the children away. Instruction that he gave. It's the instruction that he gave. Put the unbeliever and the children away. Now, the children are to a point where they, I believe that Yahuah is wise, and well, of course, Yahuah is wise. But maybe we might not think about why Yahuah would say that. It might sound harsh. It might sound crazy. It might sound something to some people. But imagine trying to hold on to children where you're putting away, for example, as a man, you're putting away the mother, and you're trying to hold on to the children. You might have them, but what you have done is you have bred animosity. Animosity has creeped in the hearts of these children. You might have them, but they really hate being there, perhaps. You see, unless they're to the point where they have a willingness, they have an understanding and a willingness to live according to the way that you're living, and they make a choice to live with you. But if you force them to stay with you when you found that you can't live at peace with the other person, and now you're going to force the children to stay with you, that might not be a good thing. It might not work out well, you see, in the end. And so Yahuah says to put the unbeliever and the children away. That's what his word says. Mm-hmm. Yes, and actually, when Abraham told him that's Abraham was speaking from the perspective of Yahuwah's laws, Yahuwah's Torah, Now, this is where, as people in in captivity, who have been subjected to the laws of our captors and have subjected ourselves also to the laws of the captors, that's where it becomes tricky and dicey, and even putting them away, there are going to be consequences. There are going to be consequences. And that's something that we have to be able and willing to deal with and to face, you see. But there are going to be consequences. And again, we look and reflect on the fact that when Yahuah gave his Torah, that's why Torah is intended for a people governing themselves, you see. Because the moment you're driven out and where you no longer rule yourself, things get real complicated. Yahuah never intended for us to live in complication, you see, but transgression puts us, complicate things, you see. Transgression complicate things. I think there was another question on the board that I might have missed. Let me go back. Aki Keenan said, I've been married 29 years. I need to recommit my marriage under Halal Yahuah. Praise Father, Aki. Praise Yahuah. That's a wonderful thing, Aki. Well, Aki, I've been married now about 20 years. So I'm trying to catch up with you. Maybe in 9 years I'll catch up with you, right? I have 9 more years to go and I'll catch up with you. Nah, I'm kidding. I'll never catch up. Praise Yahuah. Yeah, so what we see is that the woman can separate, and this is, I'm going based on what's written, okay? We see where the suggestion is made that, and let me say, by the way, that for the believing, for a believing woman and an unbeliever, the believer in of course in Yahuah's constitution, so to speak, Yahuah's Torah, the believer always has the upper hand over the unbeliever. That's man or woman, okay? And so if, for example, when you look at, if you go to the book of Ezra, Atzarah, if you go to the book of Ezra, Atzarah, it was not just the men of Yasharal who had married foreign women, unbelievers, but the women of Yasharal in some cases also did. And there was the expectation that the woman also had to put away the unbelieving stranger, unbelieving foreigner from her, as well as the men had to put away the women. The believer in Yasharal always has the upper hand, you see. The believer in Yasharal always has the upper hand. So that woman has the power to declare that marriage ended. When she is married, when she is a child of Yasharal, and she's married to an unbeliever, you see. Now, what happens when you have two people of Yasharal? I'm talking about two people who are supposed to be walking in obedience, right? And then divorce comes into play. Well, really, what Yahuah never intended it to be that way right now, you see. And that's why he set up certain guidelines, and you could call it, well, how should I put it? He put certain things in place to avoid it coming to that, you know. But in that situation, based on what I see and the order set in place, it would be up to the man to issue a bill of divorce in a situation where you have two people of Yasharal in a marriage, where it comes to now where you can't continue to coexist, you know. the scriptures isn't totally clear on it, and so I don't want to too much assume either, because Yahuah is not. The scriptures didn't make that point absolutely clear, so I really don't want to assume too much, or speak too much into it. Does divorce like Torah only apply to the land of Yasharal? Okay, so no, I think that's why you see Shaul, when he was speaking to Yasharal, who were living in a foreign land, counseling Yasharal about marriage. They were living in Corinth. They were under the Romans. When they were coming to a knowledge of Yahuah, and Shaul was kind of giving them counsel because they had questions about marriage, given the situation they were in. They're living in a foreign land, and they're coming to a knowledge of Yahuah, and some people are coming to the knowledge quicker than others, and they have questions. Should I continue in this marriage? What should I do? And that's where Shaul was saying to them that they need to exercise some patience, if possible. So from one perspective, let me just say this, because we're kind of, when we talk about that, you're dealing with two different things in some ways, right? So from that perspective, when you have people coming to a knowledge of Yahuah, you exercising patience. You see Shaul talking about that. Now, when it comes to marriage, being joined in marriage, the same things that you can freely do in the land, you couldn't necessarily do freely in this land, right? So, for example, in the land of Yasharal, among the people of Yasharal, and let me just say this. I think this came up the other day, and I meant to respond to it and never got a chance to. The question of having many wives, is it still valid, or what? You have people today in this land, and they're taking several wives. For a couple of reasons, that's not something that I would encourage anybody to do. One, because the laws of this land you have laws in this land specifically written against that. And so it's kind of foolish of anybody to do that living in this captivity. You're giving them ammunition to shoot you with. Okay? There are laws in this land specifically written to address things like that. Okay? So it is outright illegal in this land. Okay? There are laws written to address that specifically. So it's stupid of people. This government get ready to really harass you. All these people posting this stuff on Facebook and on YouTube or whatever, they can really use that against them if they so choose. Okay, because there are laws on the books in this land against that. Now, does that still apply to Yasharal today, about taking many wives? While many people speak about it as if it's a law, as if it's a Torah, that a man should take several wives, it's not a Torah, it's not a law. There is no law, there is no instruction that command the men of Yasharal to take many wives. Not one, nowhere in scripture, nowhere in any of the writings. You will not find an instruction. You will not find a Torah that says that. However, though, Yahuah allowed it. Yahuah allowed it for the building of a nation. Okay? He allowed it, you see. Today, I don't think it's necessary. I don't see where it's necessary today. Okay? Yasharal is countless today. It's not like in the early days where it was just a few million people. Yasharal today is really countless. Yahuah allowed that for nation building, but I don't see where it's necessary today. Now the scriptures talk about multiple wives in the times that we're living in, but it doesn't speak about it in a favorable manner. It actually speaks about it negatively. It talks about Yasharal in their rebellion, and when he drive them out of the land, how that one 7 women will take hold of one man and say, be my husband, be my Asha, you know. So it speaks about it from a negative perspective, not from a positive perspective when it comes to captivity, you see. So the validity of these people doing that today, I don't find it supported by scripture. It's something that Yahuah allowed at a time in our history, again for the purpose of nation building, but there was never a command given. Some people teach as if it was a command. There's no command given by Yahuah for it, you see. And I don't see where it's even today. Definitely in captivity there are laws written against it, and some people will say, I don't go by their laws. Well, when you're in captivity, you're given over to their laws, and that's what scripture tells us. We have been given over to their laws, and they can certainly use their laws against us, and they do, you see. And so we need to use wisdom in that also, but I don't see where it's even necessary to continue, you see. Yes, absolutely. Not everyone in Yasharal had multiple wives back then. It was not a command, you see. It was not a command. Absolutely, Aki. All right. Let's see. Yes, Aki Keith had mentioned the text that I was making reference to, Ezra, Atzorah 9 and 10. All right. So it's about functional literacy. How do we understand? Okay, what is sealed? Let me come back to the questions. I am called first. Yeah, what is sealed? Okay, Akut, Kayla, when you said sealed as in marriage, you speak of, because the scripture speaking of being sealed in different ways, but you speak of in the sense of marriage. I just want to make sure that I understand the question. To be sealed, if it's in the context of marriage, to be sealed, for the marriage to be sealed, that's where you come together in intercourse, and that seals the marriage. That in itself is not marriage, right? So intercourse in itself it's not marriage, but that seals the marriage. So once after the ceremony, so to speak, then the marriage is sealed with the two coming together, you see, and that makes it complete, and so it seals the marriage. How do we understand? I think I wasn't seeing I think you were asking some of these questions as I was speaking about something, and I didn't see the questions right away, Akut, so please forgive me, because now I'm not sure when the questions came up. If you can help me to clarify, that would be great. If you're still here, that'd be great. All right. Okay. Did I miss any other questions here on Fuse? I'm looking, going back and forth. I'm looking on both Fuse and on Facebook. So. Okay. Aki Franklin says, but it is not illegal to have concubines or whore. Right, right, Aki. Right. Yes. Mhm. All right. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take a break, family, and we'll come back in about a half an hour. It's basically 4:50 now, 4:47 my time. 10 minutes of 5. Gonna break for about a half an hour, 30 minutes. Yes, that's right, Aki. We're gonna break for about 30 minutes, and then I'll come back. I'm gonna leave fuse open, but I'll have to end the YouTube broadcast and I'll restart it. Restart a new live stream when we come back. Okay, so I'm gonna stop the YouTube live stream, and when we return, I will restart it. Yes. So roughly about 5:20 Eastern Standard Time, half an hour from now, 30 minutes from now, wherever you are. I know that we're scattered, so wherever you are, 30 minutes from now. Once again, I want to say to you all, family, and praise Yahuah for this fellowship and for his Shabbat. Hallelujah.
Recording of the conference has stopped.
I'm gonna go ahead and stop the broadcast on YouTube. Where is it at?